Point nuclear power station in Somerset is a risky and expensive project with uncertain benefits. That is the view not of anti-nuclear campaigners, but of the National Audit Office. Rob has more.
Yes, so when our first new nuclear planned for generation is up and running, it's expected to produce 7% of Britain's power. The National Audit Office this morning has laid into the project's finances, saying the economic case is marginal. It also says the government didn't think as much as it should have about the costs and risks for consumers. Hinkley will get a guaranteed price for its power, the so-called strike price, potentially adding £30 billion of top-up payments to bills. Well, the government says building the plant is an important strategic decision. The project's majority shareholder, EDF, insists it's good value compared with alternatives. Tom Greatrex is the chief executive of the Nuclear Industry Association. Why should Hinkley cost bill payers so much?
We don't know whether it will cost that or not. And as the NAO report says, it's impossible to make a judgment on whether that's value for money at this stage. And the reason for that is because it's not yet generating electricity. So, they can't really make that judgment in one sense. And they've admitted that in the report in terms. The important point here about the costs and the strike prices is that this is lower than the average of every renewable generation capacity that has been given a contract for difference. It's lower than those which were agreed at the same time in terms of the big offshore wind projects. But also, as the NAO report says, that is quite significantly impacted by the finance model which the government policy puts into place. And the NAO report says that the government should look at that and consider other options, because other options could have delivered a much lower strike price. That's something I think it's right, as we move from the first of a kind to successor projects and future projects, that the government reflect on and consider, because if that provides better value in terms of what consumer pays, then that's something that certainly should be considered.
Given the cost of Hinkley Point C, the delays that there have already been, the fact that the reactor is untested, and the fact that renewable energy costs are falling, isn't there a case for Hinkley Point C to be looked at again?
Well, this project is now under construction. It started last year. There's a lot of work. There are thousands of people on that site at Hinkley and Somerset at the moment, building that power station, pouring concrete and getting that power station up and running. So that project is now happening. What I think we have to do in relation to future new nuclear projects is look at the recommendations or the conclusions of the NAO in relation to different financing models to see if that might give a different way of doing it. But what's most important is, with 2/3 of our capacity coming to the end of its life by 2030, we need to replace that. We need to do that in as low carbon a way as possible. We need to do that in a way where we're not overly exposed to the volatility of fossil fuel prices on international markets. Nuclear, alongside renewables and other technologies, helps us do that.
Can you guarantee that this nuclear power station will be up and running, generating power in 2025?
It's really important that we get new capacity built, because we've got so much that is going offline in a relatively short period of time. We've left it a long time, and actually, saying we should reassess and start again doesn't give us. We haven't got the luxury of time to be able to do that. We need to get on with ensuring that we have the electricity that homes, businesses, public services rely on, and will continue to rely on in the future.
Tom Greatrex, the chief executive of the Nuclear Industry Association.
Rob, thanks. 19 minutes past 7 is